Hello, you're listening to Higurashi with Jacrono and Matt just live in studio.
It's true. We have an audience this time.
One whole audience.
One whole entire audience is technically an audience. Felix.
I mean, I guess unless you count the other people in this house who have constantly just heard us screaming from behind closed doors for the better part of 2 years.
They don't know what happens in here. They don't come in. They don't need to know.
They can probably hear what happens in here regardless.
It's true. You think if we, recorded this and then play, a CD player or something of us yelling at each other through the door, we could sneak out the window and, go get ice cream or something?
We absolutely could, but we could also just stop recording, leave, go get ice cream.
But then they'd know, and they'd also want ice cream.
You know what? I'm just gonna let that slide.
Then we have to get everyone ice cream, and that was the fun in that. Sharing ice cream with people other than the two of us and our live studio audience, singular.
So we're getting to the end of Higurashi here.
Yeah. We're getting to the end of the old gas tank, as it were.
Yes.
And we're getting there. I thought, honestly, that the last chapter was going to be the last one, but
it's maybe we have
one or two more. I don't know.
Are you saying that this has overstayed its welcome?
No, okay. I would never say that about Higurashi. I want more. Let's be real.
Really like this this arc.
Yeah.
I went into it a little bit skeptical of how effective Ryukishi was going to be able to pull off a character separate from the main cast going in and just this is like appendices type content, right?
It is.
This isn't really normally fodder
Extra
for the
stuff.
main story, but I think that the way that it's integrated itself has been really clean so far.
Are you saying that you have not had your time wasted by the time-wasting chapter?
I perhaps might say that.
Yeah. I really like Akasaka. I think that he's a really cool character. And the fact that he's in a sort of authoritative position in a way. He's not just from the outside, right? He's not just another kid who's moved into the town. He's like, oh boy, is it great to be here. The environment's changed, the scenery's changed. We've gone 10 or so years in the past, as you do.
I think
but we still have Oishi.
Yeah, I think the other thing that's good about the fact that we've had this massive change in perspective is that we've had a massive change in perspective, but it doesn't feel like we're somewhere else.
Yes.
I think there's definitely the risk of that when we take this approach, but it's been better executed.
Yeah, we're just getting a different perspective. And I think that, honestly, all memes aside, Oishi does a really good job of showing that, because he's still, the same character that we know and love from previous episodes.
As we've always said, Oishi is the anchor.
He's the rock. He's the rock in the hard place that we need. That's how that phrase goes, right? That's it?
100%.
Yeah, that's how I think of Oishi. The rock in the hard place.
I had a restless night's sleep.
Same.
I did nothing but turn over repeatedly during a night that seemed like it lasted for an eternity. Even then, I eventually fell asleep at some point, not realizing how high in the sky the sun had risen. I shook off the urge to go back to sleep.
It's the phone.
It was then I noticed the phone was ringing. He's been really on the nose about mentioning the phone in text and audio.
And also, it just adds to the immersion,
Does it, though?
But it's showing, this is when he realizes the phone's ringing.
This is like if a character in a TV show goes, the phone's ringing, then we get the sound effect and the subtitles come on.
Right.
It's like that moment in Portal where it's like, this is the part where you die. Achievement, this is the part where you die. Title, this is the part where you die.
And then the flames show up. Yeah. That's the best part of that game, by the way.
It is the best part. That is the best part.
Please assume the party submission position. You don't want to do that, by the way. It's a bad idea.
The time was almost 10:30 in the morning. It was clearly too late for a wake-up call.
Akasaka-san, good morning, it's Oishi.
Oh, that's points right there.
I knew it was Oishi. We get, Oishi, 3 points.
There we go.
3 points, 1 for each syllable. No, fo.
Waking up to the sound of Oishi's voice was a little too much of a shock. My delicate ears were ringing. But thanks to that shock, I was suddenly wide awake. Hello, good morning.
Could it be that you just woke up? Even though you're on assignment, it's still not good to be asleep during regular business hours. Nah.
You're absolutely right. I'll be more careful in future.
I have another tidbit that might wake you up even more.
I'm excited.
There was something interesting mixed in with the lost and found at the Hinamizawa police box.
Uh-huh.
What is it? Why were there those chimes there? Do you know, are you familiar with, chimes and bells and things in Japanese, spiritual
I'm not
culture?
familiar with the context, but I'm familiar that they're, a decent proportion.
Yeah.
They play a significant role.
The kind of I won't go into like everything about it because I don't even know that much. Let's be real. But the main thing to kind of know is that in Ryugashi probably knows this being a Japanese person, or bells are often used to signify the transition into the spirit world or a connection. I can't recall off the top of my head if Japan has this exact like piece of mythology, but in a lot of cultures, bells are used to call the dead back to their loved ones. That sort of thing.
See, now that you've said that part, I feel like we've discussed this before, and I'm concerned that it was on camera.
We might have, but I'm making sure that we're all on board with this because it is relevant.
Lost and found.
Let's leave the details for when you get here.
That was jarring.
You think you'll be able to make it before noon?
No, I'll be there right away. Uishi already knew what my mission was. Since Uishi said it was something that would wake me up, it was hard to believe that it would be irrelevant to me. It's just coffee.
Yeah, it's coffee. I wanted to give you a drink, my friend. There was no vodka in coffee, do not worry.
Honestly speaking, judging by the information from Sato-san yesterday, knowing that my cover was already blown, I couldn't wander to and from Hinamizawa carelessly. In other words, my investigation was at an impasse. If there was some information there that could put me back on the trail, that would be nothing less than a stroke of good fortune. After vigorously washing my face, I pulled on my jacket and hailed a taxi heading towards the Akademiya police station. Oh my goodness.
See how he like phased in and out of existence?
I know. He's magic.
That was amazing. Oh, you're here. The genius mahjong player has arrived.
My apologies for being late. That's exactly what popped up. With absolutely no intention of reminiscing about last night's mahjong game, I pressed him to get to the point. Uishi, anticipating that I would act that way, cut to the chase without any resistance.
Like I said earlier, something arrived from the Hinamizawa police box lost and found this morning.
Spooky. Lost items that were turned over to the police box were sent to Akademiya Station after the paperwork was filled out.
What could it be?
Uishi pulled out a plastic bag from a drawer and laid its labeled contents on the desk. I really have
Not
no
a finger.
idea.
Oh, it's a wallet. Oh. I thought it'd be a finger or something.
Horsehead.
Horsehead, those are the worst, man. You don't want to get them in your police box.
I hate it when that happens.
Horse in your police box? Not a good day. It's like walking under a ladder.
Is it?
Yes. Bad omen.
I thought it would have been more like 2 ladders stacked on top of each other. Actually, probably 3 ladders, because the second ladder would cancel out.
I think you mean 2 ladders that are stacked on top of each other, but you could also insert one into the other ladder.
Oh.
Have you seen those ladders?
Yes.
Those are actually really great. I saw an ad because of my parents' place and they have a TV.
Are you trying to sell ladders right now to the internet?
Not explicitly.
I'm not going to let this happen.
I'm just saying.
I'm not going to let this happen.
Get you a ladder that can be 2 ladders in one. It's really convenient for storage. It was 180 kilograms, but you could like pack it up in the back of your car anyway. You can put a car on top of it, is all I'm saying.
Call now, I'm not throwing a free set of steak knives.
Well, that's what, it wasn't steak knives, it was a toolkit. It was a bunch of like wrenches. Anyway. The man was very passionate.
Is that a wallet?
Indeed. There was small change inside, but no bills. We thought that the pickpocket threw it away after pulling out the contents. At first.
I didn't understand how this wallet, so far removed from Tokyo, could possibly be related to the kidnapping. If it had drawn Uishi's attention, it would have to be something dramatic, like the wallet belonged to the missing grandchild.
It would have to be dramatic.
I'm excited for it to be exactly that.
Yeah.
It feels like the kind of moment for that.
It has to be.
That would be absurd. Like something that convenient would happen. If it was that, there would probably be initials written on the wallet. Like the initials of Jerry Inugai, the minister's grandson. J.I.
There we go.
Thinking like that, at this point I didn't suppose that this wallet was something that could get Uishi so excited. Uishi, after putting on a pair of disposable plastic gloves, handed me a pair of the same. I didn't feel that this wallet was such an important thing, so I had my doubts as to whether there was any point in putting on gloves. However, I didn't want Uishi's intentions to go to waste, so I put them on. Uishi opened up the plastic bag and pulled it out, showing me the back. As I had imagined, there were initials engraved there. It was slightly more detailed than what I had thought, with Jerry I marked on it. So it's just exactly that.
Yeah.
I'm so happy.
There you go, we found Jerry's wallet.
I love how like not a moment that was.
Yeah, it was nothing.
It just happened and we've moved on. Except we haven't moved on, but the story has.
Because we're having a good time.
Exactly.
Uishi is doing very well.
Thank you. Uishi grinned at me with a look on his face that said,
"See?
We can confirm from that this belongs to the minister's grandson," I informed him calmly. This wallet was irrelevant. It was nothing more than Uishi's overeagerness. First of all, there was absolutely no way in this distant locale that The missing grandson's wallet would be found with such convenient timing. After all, the Onigashima Defense Alliance wasn't related to the case in the first place, so there was no way this wallet belonged to the grandson. So clearly what's happened here is they've now found out that Akasaka knows that they know. So they're now trying to keep him here by baiting him with more evidence.
Why would they want to keep him here? Who is trying to keep him here? Be explicit. What is happening?
The ODA is probably trying to keep him here.
Why?
To you know, sway Akasaka's conscience. They want him to understand.
They want him on side, you think?
Exactly.
Why?
Because they're excellent social engineers.
That makes sense to me. I once knew an Angela of the same persuasion. She was a real gem.
You know, that'll probably have launched by the time this comes out.
Hopefully.
Go check out the 3 taps on Death of the Reader.
Yeah.
Link in the description.
Go find that. Unless it's not out yet, in which case, keep waiting.
Cut that
immediately. Throw it in the bin. Slap it in the next episode.
So there was no way this wallet belonged to the grandson. Why I wanted to decide that was the case, even I didn't really know. Even though what should have been a top secret case was leaked before I had even been dispatched. In this situation, how could I say this was definitely unrelated? Would it be more prudent to pay more attention to this wallet?
Maybe.
It had only been a couple of days since I arrived in Hinamizawa, but in those couple of days, due to a number of remarkable events, my nerves might have become just a little frayed. Shaking my head slightly, I cleared it of unnecessary thoughts, sounding like Keiichi.
He is. He's adopting the mindset. Here we go.
I wasn't expecting this to happen as abruptly, but I'm on board.
I'm down for it.
Uishi opened the wallet's zipper, revealing the contents.
Oh.
Inside was a small change and a number of crumpled receipts. Uishi, from that jumble, pulled out a folded card. Here we go. This is the moment.
This is the real thing. Yay.
Seeing that, my heart stopped for a moment. It was a card from a dental examination. The name Jerry Unugai in the H. A perfect match.
Okay. Did we already know it was his wallet?
I mean, I guess, but I think he was trying to play it off like, oh, it could be another Jerry Unugai. Amateur.
There are plenty of Jerrys, okay?
Plenty of Jerrys.
There's one of them that's living, one of them that was a zombie. There's plenty of Jerrys.
There's plenty of children that have been kidnapped around a
and that's
mysterious
what we call them.
dam project.
We call them the Jerrys.
Oh, it's like how we call all the policemen Uishi.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
This is horrifying. Okay. I guess if any other kids get kidnapped, we have to call them Jerry. It's just how it is.
It's so strange. Like, Akasaka seems like a pretty well switched on guy. Except when it matters.
Yeah. For sure.
And I
mean, isn't the same with Keiichi, really?
I wonder if Ryukashi is trying to, like, do that explicitly with Akasaka, or whether it's just, like...
a writing quirk?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, like, a lot of his, like, main protagonists are kind of, like, clueless. And that's part of, you know, being part of a murder mystery. They cannot be any smarter than the regular reader, you know? That's what
Are you calling Akasaka the Watson of this story?
I mean, maybe? I mean, he's not the detective, that's Oishi.
I'm thinking.
It checks out!
But, if Oishi is the detective, then things he has lighted on must be immediately presented for the reader.
They were lighted upon.
No. Oishi is hiding.
Some social finagling.
Uishi is hiding far too much from us.
No, he's not hiding anything.
Detective.
He's a precious, honest boy, and we love him.
I disagree.
I agree with myself. If you agree, let us know in the comments. Let us know that Oishi is a precious boy and he should be protected.
The dentist's location was in Tokyo.
Oh boy!
There was no need to explain any further.
And yet I will.
How far was it from Tokyo to Hinamizawa? It was far enough that taking the bullet trains and cars would still take several hours.
Oh boy.
Why would a wallet with a dental examination card from Tokyo inside show up in Hinamizawa?
Who knows?
I feel like Akasaka's kind of missed the point here. Could it belong to a tourist who came from Tokyo? Or maybe a villager on vacation to Tokyo just happened to pay a visit to the dentist? No, it had to have fallen into somebody's bag by accident. In my mind, I desperately struggled to find a possible excuse as to why this wallet didn't belong to Jerry Unugai. It was as if it just wouldn't do for this wallet to belong to him. However, weeding out any possibility for error one by one, the haze surrounding the wallet in front of me faded, gradually letting it come into clear focus.
You see?
Felt a shiver of electricity run up my spine. I butchered that word, but I love your moment there so much, I'm gonna have to leave it in.
You better.
My pulse quickened and a thin film of sweat began to coat my entire body. Again with the thin film of sweat. Do people sweat any other way in Oishi's mind?
No, they just
Ryukashi's mind, I mean.
Don't bring that on Oishi! This is Ryukashi doing this, not that sweet boy.
Oh, goodness.
But yeah, thin films of sweat.
I'm falling apart live on camera.
We got this.
From Oishi's point of view, I was probably slack-jawed and spaced out with a slovenly look on my face. Did you get information from the dental office?
That's your job, Akasaka-san. I didn't go that far for you lazy fuck.
When did this wallet show up?
The person who picked it up was a villager. They did so yesterday, it seems.
Not that, I mean. When was this wallet dropped?
It rained here last week, exactly 7 days ago. It doesn't look like the contents are water damaged, so the longest it could be would probably be 6 days.
Does anybody else at this station have knowledge of the existence of this wallet?
The officer who first encountered it at the Hinamizawa police box, and those are the 2 or 3 people in charge of the lost and found. Other than that, it's just me and you. If it's involved in a classified case, it'd be bad to talk about, wouldn't it? I don't intend to wag my tongue.
Now the question is, now that we've brought the police box into this,
okay,
does this mean...
Is the police box reliable? Is it an accomplice?
Exactly. Unironically, exactly.
I know.
Like, is it that the villagers have brought Jerry to the police box and said, like, here's your chance to speak to your grandpups, make sure you tell him the right things? Or did the villagers drop it there and go like, oh, here we go, let's get that Akasaka guy?
Oh boy.
Let
him get away.
You know, if anything, it was probably both. It was probably Jerry dropped it and the villagers were like, it'll play right into our hands.
Maybe. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Somebody had to put it there. And I feel like if some random bloke, like, because most people, like, if they don't know he's missing, they haven't seen him around. Does Jerry live in Hinamizawa? He does, doesn't he? Like, he doesn't come from Okonomiya? I don't remember.
What?
He lives in Hinamizawa, doesn't he? Or am
Jerry?
Yeah, Jerry.
Lives in Tokyo.
Oh, wait, you're right. What am I talking about?
He was abducted from Tokyo. That's what this whole scene is about.
What am I talking about? Sorry, other way around. What I mean is, like, if someone found it, I don't know, I feel like they'd try to, like, find the person or something. I don't feel like you just dump it in the police box. Sorry, it was the point that I was trying to make there. I had a brain fart.
It's alright. We've had multiple...
It happens. We've had multiple recording sessions today of stuff that is not he's not Higurashi, even. Brain farted.
I hate those.
I will not wag my tongue.
May I borrow a phone?
Go ahead. Dial 0 to get an outside line.
I'm the fresh meat. Ben's just being dumb.
I know. Yeah, I made a bum.
Okay. I dialed the phone number inscribed on the examination card. I could hear my pulse pounding inside my head. Could there possibly be something so absurd? The addresses on the receipts and cards inside the wallet were all from around the area where the grandson lived. The name on the examination card was also a match. The time we deduced the wallet had been left behind was also matched up with the timeline of the kidnapping. Of course, it was possible I could just laugh it off as a big pile of coincidences. There wasn't any strong evidence. Rather than all this circumstantial proof, the contents of the phone call I was about to make would have a much greater meaning. Who's this?
I don't know. Wait, who did you say was calling? This is the dental office.
Oh, it's the dental office.
Sure, I'll be the dentist.
You be the dentist.
Hello. Sorry to keep you waiting. This is redacted dental office.
Hello, this is the also redacted police.
We're right back at you, partner.
We must come from the same area.
Wow.
I have a misplaced wallet here, and I'm trying to get in contact with the owner. Would you be able to help me? Inside the wallet, there was an examination card from your office. Yeah, the name is Jerry Inugai. If I give you the number on the card, would you be able to look up the phone number? Yes, thank you.
I don't get to say anything else.
You could.
Oh.
Still holding the receiver, I pulled out a notebook from my breast pocket with my free hand. I opened it up to the page with the grandson's address and phone number recorded on it.
Yeah, hello, go ahead.
I think that was me, but what?
I don't care.
Okay, thanks.
Could be anyone.
Could be anyone. I compared the phone number written in my notebook to the one that was being read out on the other end of the line. It was a perfect match. It's perfect. During that process, I spun around to look behind me uneasily.
I'm gonna fall over, dude.
I locked eyes with Uishi. Uishi looked puzzled, wondering what the matter was. Why would I feel uneasy and look behind me? That was because the person on the end of the line was reading out the numbers as though doing so straight from my notebook.
Oh heck, it's the same numbers.
Shocking!
They did it. We found the numbers.
As I said, he's so switched on except when it matters. And
it's a very weird scene.
So peculiar.
What is happening?
I don't understand.
Akasaka, get your head in the game.
Get your head in the game.
Get your head in the game.
Careful, we'll get copyright struck.
Not with singing like mine.
What, it's that bad?
Yes, that was the joke, yes.
It seemed that HQ was in quite an uproar thanks to my report. No matter how many times the authenticity of the evidence I had linked to the grandson was called into question, I could only respond that it was the truth. When the lead investigator first picked up the phone, I was grilled about the evidence I'd found that was almost too good to be true, if I do say so myself. But after having doubt after doubt dispelled, he fell into silence. The receiver was finally handed over to the section chief. When he picked it up, the background thrum on the other end of the line disappeared, and I knew that it had gone completely silent. After asking the same questions about the wallet that the lead investigator did, the chief quietly spoke his next words.
Oh, got it. We'll dispatch several people as reinforcements.
This is not going to go well for them.
Reinforcements? They should be able to make it there by evening. Akasaka-kun, please continue with your investigation of the area. Get some information on the spot where the wallet was found. Kano-san will select some people and head directly there. He will bring conscripts and rhino tanks.
The fact that he was sending Uishi Kano, the lead investigator here, meant that the chief had decided there was a possibility that the Uishi Defense Alliance was somehow implicit in the kidnapping.
And rhino Uishi tanks! Send them in!
That was a mistake, but I'm gonna let it happen.
Perfect.
However, it felt as though until the lead investigator, whom he trusted, had verified the evidence with his own eyes, he was still going to be skeptical about it.
That's right. This is the mistake hour. Don't worry about it. We'll get the sick music jamming in the background. How did it go?
Seems that HQ is sending reinforcements. I was ordered to investigate the area. Where was the wallet dropped?
Around Takatsudo, apparently. This is Okanomiya. All the way over here, this is Inamizawa. Then even further upstream, way up around here is Takatsudo.
Why is this the first time we're getting this area name dropped?
Because I can't redact it now. I don't know.
I don't know.
Who knows?
It's very strange. We should explain where the wallet was found by pointing to locations on the map on the wall. This place called Takatsudo was even more remote than Hinamizawa was.
There's hardly anybody living in the air around Takatsudo. It was deserted a long time ago. It's littered with abandoned houses, so it's really quite desolate around there.
That sounds like the perfect fodder to build a new mansion on cheap land.
The perfect fodder?
Yes.
I guess so. Let's go build a haunted mansion over there.
Yes.
I mean a regular mansion, but it'll become haunted.
A mansion for a boy that's 2 stories tall and his artist father.
Yes. When I get murdered by a fishing hook.
No. Uishi-san, could I ask you to guide me to Takatsudo?
Yeah, I don't mind. You can't really get in and out of Hinamizawa as you please by yourself, after all. Of course, I'll have to make you wear the cap and mask again.
That Uishi had agreed to accompany me was very reassuring. If Sato-san's info was to be believed, my cover had been blown. I wasn't sure if the villagers had realized that the fresh meat dispatched from the public safety was the tourist that had visited the village yesterday. In other words, me. Of course they've realized. What do you want about?
Is that what we just, like,
that was like
out
the whole scene was
chapter?
about last night. What's going on with this man? He just can't switch on when it matters.
That's great.
But deciding that they hadn't noticed would have been overly optimistic. Given a cursory thought, Takatsudo, where the wallet was found, couldn't be ruled out as a hiding spot for the kidnappers. The Takatsudo area didn't have any residential buildings, nor was it alongside a highway. There wasn't a reason for even the locals to go out of their way to visit it.
It's like the perfect spot for an ambush.
It was exactly what you would call a long-forgotten ghost town at the end of the road.
Oh boy.
You couldn't ask for a better place to hold a kidnapped grandson. Are we just gonna find out that they're holding the kid in what becomes Keiichi's house?
Hopefully.
That'd be good. Also, you couldn't get to Takatsudo without passing through Hinamizawa first, and several conditions made the area all the more important. I couldn't brush it off any longer. There was no longer any doubt that Onigafuji Defense Alliance, or somebody hired by them, were involved in the kidnapping. If that was the case, the fact this wallet was found might have already been leaked to them. They even knew so much as how the Public Safety Division was operating. The case of the wallet couldn't be something they didn't know. In that case, there was a possibility that the enemy was lying in wait. To dive alone into enemy territory, surrounded by enemy territory, to say the least, required an amount of courage, recklessness that I just didn't have. Without your company, Uishi-san, I wouldn't be able to step into the village so easily, so thank you for your cooperation. Honestly, I thought you'd ask for more money.
Well, if we're being honest, Hinamizawa isn't exactly a place I like to go to. I'd at least appreciate if you paid for cab fare. Still, it is not a request I can refuse from a friend played at the same table as me.
Boy, he's loyal.
I love him.
Rishi grinned as he pounded me on the back. It struck me that he just didn't want to jump ship rather than having any sort of sense of duty towards his job.
That's great.
Even so, that didn't really matter. Right now, I really appreciated the gesture. Well then, shall we hurry up and get going? The enemy knew that the police had obtained the wallet, and they would probably have moved the hostage to a different place. There wasn't even a moment to lose. Rishi, without regard to the fact that we were about to head out, began to remove his jacket. What are you doing?
Well, just a precaution. If you want me to poke the beehive to get your honey, I have to be rather well prepared, you see. Do you want to put one on too?
Rishi pulled from the drawer below the desk was a stab-proof vest.
Oh shit! We're gonna get stabbed, maybe.
It's just the fucking, like, kitchen steel tray.
Yeah. Now strap it on nice and tight, don't worry. If it digs into flesh, it is doing job.
His name was Jerry Inugai, the grandson of the Minister of Construction, Inugai. There was only one reason for him being here. If you didn't include a gym or art class, his grades were above average. That was the result of having private tutoring sessions twice a week. If you omitted the fact that he still couldn't do pull-ups, there wasn't much else that would make him hate school.
Alright.
I don't understand.
I don't understand either, but I'm on board.
Let's go. Of course, he understood full well that his grandfather was a cabinet minister, but he also knew that not too many people were that interested in their relationship. He didn't like to go out of his way to bring up his grandfather or to call him the Minister of Construction. And finally, he at least tried to know a little more about what kind of work the Minister of Construction did than your average Joe. What that entailed was that when you tried your best to make life better for the masses, sometimes you made a few enemies. He knew that all too well from the time he'd spent as a class representative. His grandfather had many enemies. He knew that he might personally catch some of that fallout, so he had to be twice as cautious. He was taught that by his parents. That's why the moment he was kidnapped, he instantly knew that this was one of those occasions. He understood that he wasn't being treated as Jerry Inugai, the person, but rather as Jerry Inugai, the grandson of the Minister of Construction. It's so hard to say that name every time I read a different one.
It's so good. I believe in you.
He wasn't personally at fault, but this was the result of some unavoidable trouble with his grandfather's work. It made a little difference, but when he realized it wasn't because of anything he did, he was able to relax, if only a little. Of course, at first he was struck with the terror befitting his age, wondering what was going to happen to him. I don't think this is Akasaka.
I don't think so either. Do you want me to just, like, take over?
Please do.
Yeah, because I should be doing the neutral voices anyway. Of course, at first he was struck with a terror befitting his age, wondering what was going to happen to him. But after a while of being tied up and only able to stay lying down, he began to ponder a great many things. First, he thought about the reason he was being abducted like this. He understood the answer to that easily. He was taken hostage to coerce his grandfather, the minister. There was no doubt about that. He didn't know exactly what the Minister of Construction did, but it was easy to imagine that there was much to be gained from threatening him. He respected his grandfather more than most. He earnestly believed that his own grandfather was within the top 20 of the most bestest people in all of Japan.
Thank you.
That was exactly why he wouldn't forgive anybody who tried to threaten his beloved grandfather. More importantly, he wouldn't forgive anybody who would use him as a tool to threaten his grandfather. Is he would like bust out and take these fools down?
That'd be so
I
cool.
hope that's what happens.
I mean, this might be the flashback to when he dropped the wallet.
Maybe. His grandfather was really busy and rarely had time to meet with relatives. That's why, with what little time he did manage to scrape together, he just dropped by unannounced. And, as an apology for not being able to meet during New Year's or summer vacation, he doted on his grandson very, very much. The number of times that Jerry was looked upon with disregard just because his grandfather was a politician and a minister certainly weren't few. But he never thought even once that he wanted his father, his grandfather, to quit being a politician. Because it was his beloved grandfather, he wanted him to continue his career as long as possible from the bottom of his heart. However, Jerry was now being held hostage and his grandfather was being threatened. Not Grandpapa Jerry. His Grandpapa Jerry, who called him the apple of his eye, was surely suffering. He might do anything to save his grandson. Maybe even putting aside his ideology if it was required to save his grandson.
This narration is getting, like, increasingly less consistent with the style of the rest of this arc.
It is very weird. Like, I think they're trying to like extract Akasaka's character out of it and like have it be like a neutral perspective.
Yeah.
But it also is just really clunky.
Yeah,
So-
I do wonder if that's a translation thing or not.
Mm.
That's so weird.
Yeah, it is very interesting.
I also do wonder if it's like beyond the neutral perspective. Maybe if it's just trying to actually put us straight into Jerry's head.
Maybe, yeah. Like he's just trying to logically think it out. He's like bumping along the road.
Yeah.
Maybe. I think it's also that I find when I'm voicing this that when we do have clunky dialogue lines with characters, I can usually like change my tone or like the words that I use a little bit to kind of fit the character better.
I normally just complain about it.
I mean, that too. That's how we cope with it. But yeah, this is kind of I kind of just have to say it straight because there is no narrator for this. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about Jerry and his grandpapa. Old Jerry. Old Jay, they call him. He might cave into the culprit's demands if it meant saving his little Jerry, Seinfeld. When Jerry thought about this, keep clicking, keep going, and inexplicable anger welled up within him. In his current situation, do you think that's where the name comes from? Do you think that Grandpapa Jerry was like, man, I'm going to call him Jerry because that's like that Jerry Seinfeld? Do you think that's where he got the name from?
I don't think Seinfeld was big enough at this point.
Was he alive? He was alive though, right?
Had Seinfeld even started?
I don't know. Somebody tell us in the comments. Are you going to look it up?
I'm going to look it up.
Oh my goodness. What year is it? I've already forgotten what year it is. I'm bad at years.
What year is this?
What year is it? Where am I?
1989, so no, it hadn't even started. But
he just knew.
You know,
maybe that's what this Jerry is. He's Jerry Seinfeld.
Or maybe as a political official, he had the inside loop on what was next in the American TV production
maybe that's
pipeline.
it. He knew. He just knew.
And
he was
preemptively named his son.
Jerry.
His grandson, even.
He named his grandson.
Yeah. That seems like a thing people would do, right?
I love this backstory. It is
the Jerry Cannon growth.
Somebody go wiki for this. In his current situation, he was unable to forgive the cowards who would make his beloved grandfather suffer by using such dastardly means. That feeling swelled up inside of him, displacing the fear. What he thought of first was something any boy would imagine. Get out of these bonds, beat up the bad guys, and hand them over to police. Sounds good to me. Images of all the brave heroes from all the manga he had read passed through the back of his mind. In his imaginary scenario, he slipped his bonds easily, floating like a butterfly to evade his captors and stinging like a bee to bring them all down. In the end, there was nothing more than his silly little fantasy, but with his vision obstructed and unable to see anything, it was something that he could get into more than any anime at the moment.
Do you think Ryukashi is just an American boxing fan, or that's a line from Translation?
I think, look,
float like a butterfly, sting like a bee is not...
it's a very explicit reference there. I don't know if that was Ryukashi, though.
Yeah.
I feel like that was probably a translation thing.
You know what we can do?
we can check Japanese!
We can
I saw that comment too, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Here,
well, now we have to scroll up, right? Or was it on this page?
I think it was on this page.
Just scroll up a little bit. Someone find it for us.
All right. Tell us what it was in the original translation. Okay, now get this weird squiggle off my
But I don't think that was the right... Was it on this page?
It was on this page, yeah. It's at the top.
Oh, it is. Okay, we're good. Okay, check it then.
Check it for us, blessed friends.
So make sure it was actually on the screen and not just like... In actuality, he was enjoying these little scenarios in his head. For a long period of time, he was tied up.
I got some severe whiplash there.
His captors hadn't really done anything to him that they would feel sorry for. However... Eventually, he began to grow tired of his fantasies, and more realistic scenarios began to run through his head. It was then he realized that none of them were a solution. Yes, he wanted to do something for his grandfather, who was being threatened. That he was being held here to inflict pain upon his grandfather was the thing that he could least forgive and also the most vexing. Do you think little Jerry knows that word, vexing?
Probably. They said he was good at English, didn't they?
That's true. They said it was one of his best subjects. And then he noticed there was a much simpler way he could save his grandfather without having to beat up his despicable captors. That was to remove himself as a hostage from the hands of these villains.
I'm thinking he's going to get himself killed.
No, fine. If he was to disappear from here, his captors would have nothing to threaten his grandfather with. Good logic. The captors had restrained him, but they didn't treat him roughly, and they made sure he was federal enough. Meaning, at most, he was nothing more than the means for their threat. They weren't looking to bully or kill him out of spite. No bullying or killing allowed. If he behaved, no ill would befall him.
I think it's very short-sighted of him to not assume that there's some kind of black magic being done upon him.
I think so too. He's like, yes, I'm definitely wherever I'm being kept and not in some kind of strange magical land full of voodoo witch doctors.
Exactly.
That makes
After
sense
all,
to me.
he does become a zombie later down the line.
He does.
So therefore, this must be where he's being cursed.
Cursed with zombiness. The zombie plague.
Exactly.
Yeah. Realizing that he was a zombie gave him a strong sense of courage, that he was part of the immortal undead and would not die. And carrying his train of thought this far, he let it run its course to its natural conclusion.
I'd like to apologize to our audio listeners. Zombies have not been mentioned thus far.
But there's so much fun.
You're
Have a
right.
imagination. Right now, at this moment, Jerry and Ugai had decided to escape from his zombie bonds.
That music transition not only was clunky, but glitched out the game, and I don't know if that came across on camera.
I didn't see the glitch, but I believe you. I was too focused on my weird narrative involving zombie witch doctors. His ears had been stuffed with the sponge-like material, acting as a makeshift earplugs. However, they didn't actually do much to block out any sound, and he could overhear everything his captors were saying. Realizing that this was to his advantage, even when his captors spoke to him, he acted like he couldn't hear them due to the earplugs. His captors, thinking that he couldn't hear the conversation, talked about all sorts of things without any reservations. I feel like there was a faster way to say that. Thanks to that, he was able to obtain various pieces of information. First off, this was not Tokyo.
It was Sydney!
Jerry, what are you doing here?
What are you doing here, Jerry?
Oh, you're at the outback now.
Yeah,
We're
you're
gonna
all nice, Jerry.
shove you in the back of a kangaroo. It seemed that this was quite a distance away, and on top of that, in the desert, nestled deep in the outback near Uluru. It also seemed that his captors were inconvenienced living out here, so he could deduce that this place was far removed from any sort of town. They had to go all the way to the city to get a tinny mate. Finally, whenever they went out to buy food or other supplies, they would always take a car. That fact caused him some dismay, because he knew that the method he learned at school of running around blindly while shouting for help would not work here. He paused his little mental escape scenario there.
What mental escape scenario?
This is it.
He so far his mental escape scenario is
There are bad things.
Yes.
That's it. Yeah. So it's not really a possible scenario at all. His ultimate goal was to find somebody who could help him, like a friendly squirrel. If somebody who fit that description wasn't close by, his chances of escaping successfully grew slim. A desolate, far-off land deep in the mountains, a place where you couldn't even go shopping without using a car. In this situation, escaping would be very difficult. Is it like a weird thing that you can't go shopping without using a car? Because I had that like back where I lived. But I guess I lived in like half rural.
I feel like the
space.
closer you get into a city, the less you can go shopping without a car anyway, just because of the inconvenience of getting around.
Yeah.
Like, there's that nice middle ground of, like, small town, but not too much town.
Right.
Where you can just walk to the shops, get what you need, and go home. And it's not too far away. There's not too much traffic.
Well, the problem that we had was that the IG up the road didn't actually have everything we needed. Like, it was usually understocked. So you could get, like, trash food. You get lollies and chocolates and stuff. But if you wanted, like, fresh veggies, there'd be, like, fruit and banana. There'd be, like, apples and bananas. And then some broccoli and some carrot, and then that'd be it. You know,
well, that's all you need, really.
Well, I suppose so.
You live on a farm, grow the rest yourself, amateur.
We don't have that much land, and we had to have the chickens and the sheep to roam around. We couldn't grow that much. He grew depressed, and after a little while, he returned to his original scenario.
Thank you for the beautiful transition.
It was not clunky at all. Imagining becoming a hero like in the manga he read, and beating down his captors became his respite. However, as he played those delusions out in his head, his heart, hating to surrender, continued to search for a way to escape, and then he thought of a way. If the goal was far away, then all he had to do was get closer to the goal because it's a distance away and you have to reduce that distance to the goal. His goal in a nutshell was to find somebody who could help him, would help him. In other words, somebody other than his captors. If he faked being sick, then his captors would have to take him to the hospital or bring a doctor to him. They would probably be reluctant to do that, but he already knew that the hostage was more important than anything. In the off chance that something happened, like him dying occurred, they wouldn't be able to threaten anybody anymore.
This is like progressively getting worse written, I feel.
I don't know what's happening here.
I don't...
Like, this needs to be cut in half.
Half?
And, like...
No, more than half. Significantly more than half.
I don't know what's happening.
This entire bit could have been, like, 2 paragraphs.
Yeah. It could have been like, we wake up and we see Jerry looking up the ceiling and he sees the knife. Or whatever, and he's gonna, like, it's implied that he's gonna cut his bonds off or whatever. Like, we don't need all of this. Andrew,
we're not even really in his head enough for it to feel like we're getting an engaging monologue.
It doesn't feel tense or anything, no. It doesn't have the same advantage that Keiichi's do. He's also not really a character that we know anything about.
Yeah.
But anyway, luckily, he had an experience that would help him fake a serious illness. Luckily. At the end of last year, he was inadvertently involved in a car accident and had to undergo surgery. Oh no. The scar from that surgery was still clearly visible on his lower torso. He recalled the pain and suffering from that time. The existence of the experience would make a huge impact on the realism of his performance. He was quite confident in his ability to fake an illness.
What's wrong, Jerry?
I got a cut in my belly!
That was almost as badly delivered as this section is written.
That's great. His captors at first took that as a sign he needed to use the washroom. Untying only his arms, they tried to bring him there while he was still blindfolded. But he didn't try to get up. His hands now free only clutched at his abdomen as he writhed in agony. I know, which one is it? It's the regular nerd. Hey, what's wrong? Does your stomach hurt? He still had his earplugs in, so he had to pretend he didn't hear his captors asking the question.
Now that's strategy.
He's a smart boy. He was about to nod, so he hurriedly had to stop himself.
What's the matter?
Yeah, the kid's clutching at his stomach. Must be a stomach ache or something. It appears that his stomach is aching the way that he's grabbing his stomach with his hands.
Just come on.
His captors looked down on his suffering form for a bit. One of them proposed a course of action, while another laid his doubts that Jerry might be faking it.
What's wrong, boy? Your tummy hurt?
His ears are plugged, so he can't hear you.
Well, that's a problem. Do we got any medicine that works on stomach pain? Might want to go to the pharmacy and buy some.
When it comes to stomach pain, there's a bunch of different meds, isn't there? As long as we don't know the cause, we shouldn't just buy him any old medicine.
He's holding his stomach, maybe he's just constipated. If you buy him some medicine for that, then maybe I'll calm him down. Won't kill him if we're wrong, either.
Don't decide something like that on your own. It might be appendicitis or something. My uncle's only got it a while ago. That was pretty scary. One of the captors leaned over beside the boy, who was bent over in agony. I feel sorry for the kid. His whole body's covered in sweat. Is it your stomach?
I'm really proud of him for not saying a thin film of sweat.
Thin film of sweat? That's like... That's literally every character. Does it hurt? Hey, if it hurts your stomach, you shouldn't... Wait. You shouldn't... Hey, if it hurts you, shouldn't clutch at so tightly. What is happening in this sentence?
Holy crap.
I was like, it's fine, I'll just read it out for comedic effect, but it just got worse.
It's so
Hey, if it hurts you, shouldn't clutch at so tightly. It'll only make it worse.
Just what is this whole passage? I was like, maybe I should blame Ryukishi for this scene, but now
I think it's a
had that
translation
line,
problem.
Translation
Clearly. Team, what's happening?
Either that or the translators were suffering so much at how bad the rest of the scene was that they just gave up by this point.
Maybe they were suffering from appendicitis, dude.
Maybe were.
That's what it was.
It's such a letdown that this is so badly done.
That's right. We'll get there. We'll get to the end,
we
maybe.
We were going so strong, and then Arc 3 has just been slowly...
Arc 3?
Yes, where the downward spiral in our translation started.
Yeah, for sure. I feel you.
Ugh.
Realizing that his captors were concerned about his stomach, he inadvertently let his shirt right up, letting the scar from his surgery come into plain view.
I really would love to see how one can inadvertently let their shirt right up.
Just like stretching. You gotta like pull your arm up.
Oh yeah, just do these over the head.
Yeah, like
see,
you're
that
about
doesn't
to
work.
put your arm around someone.
Doesn't work.
But you can't like get caught on your belt or anything.
Okay.
His vision was still obscure with packing tape, so he couldn't see their reaction to his scar. But his captors were taken aback, and judging from their momentary silence, he had obtained the reaction he was looking for. Hey, this is bad. This scar, it's not that old.
Does the boy have a fever? A thermometer around?
No way we have one, but that's a lot of thin film of sweat. Yeah.
Stop it, you.
I have to. Yeah, his forehead feels pretty hot, I think. I've heard that under prolonged stress, old wounds can be aggravated.
And what do we do? You're saying the medicine won't work?
We don't know what surgery this guy was from, but in any case, this is bad. In the worst case, it could be fatal.
This is bad. It's really, really bad.
Maybe we should have a doctor take a look at it. At this rate, there's a chance that he might suddenly die on us. Jerry Inugai, with those few words, knew that the situation was progressing exactly as he had envisioned it, and snickering to himself on the inside, pressed his act even further. He didn't even need to see, to know that his captors were panicked and were running around like chickens with their heads cut off at this troublesome turn of events. Should we take him to the clinic?
No, that's no good. Probably better if the doctor came here.
Dr. Irie, you mean? Is that okay? Will that be alright?
It'd be worse if anything happened to the hostage. There's nothing we can do. It's an emergency.
One of the captors hurriedly left in the car. Another of the men, completely shaken up at this point, wiped the sweat from his forehead.
Come on.
With a handkerchief. What happened? I would love to, talk with someone who was on the team. Never name and shame, but just to know, what happened. Was it rushed? Were you guys under time pressure?
I always want to give them the benefit of the doubt.
I always do.
But there is so much benefit I would be giving.
Yeah, I just want to know what happened. It looked like they were bringing a silly doctor. As long as the doctor wasn't an accomplice, that doctor was his goal. He was someone he should seek help from. His captors were probably aware of that happening. They would be prepared for it. This would all come down to luck. Some of the sweat emerging from his brow was from that nervousness.
So we're getting to the point now where Irie is going to come in and be the hero, and he's going to be the one that took the wallet.
I hope so.
I hope so too.
At that moment, the packing tape that was covering his eyes and ears was torn off. The burning light that he was seeing for the first time in several days hurt his eyes. After that, the gag that made it hard for him to breathe was also removed. Are you alright, kid? We're bringing a doctor to you right now. Just hold on for a bit. The doctor was coming. The doctor was coming. Now how is he going to ask for help? And how is he going to get away from his captors? Find out next time on... No.
Yes.
A plethora of thoughts began swirling through the viewers' minds. I think you know this already, but don't say anything unnecessary to the doctor. We don't want to hurt you or anything. You understand that, right? Jerry Inugai nodded while feigning pain and obedience. But he was not in pain, neither was he being obedient.
You're right.
His expectations and the enemy's expectations, whether they doubted he was faking his illness or his obedience or not, they knew what his goal was and would try to stop it. It was war. His stomach contracted. Have you seen the Wilder People movie? It's set in New Zealand.
Yes.
And it ends the way that movie ends.
Yes.
I hope that's what happens here.
Oh, you're absolutely right. That would be amazing.
Making it seem like his stomach really was starting to hurt. No, it really was.
The movie's called Hunt for the Wilder People.
Hunt for the Wilder People.
Wants to check it out.
It's a New Zealand it's a comedy drama.
It's by the director of Thor Ragnarok. So if you like
great.
that, you'll love it.
It's so stupid. I watched it with my family because
I got it for Christmas a couple of years ago.
They came back from New Zealand and they were like, "Well, we can either look at the video, the photos from our trip to New Zealand,
or we can watch this movie."
Yes!
That's great.
And I said, "Let's watch the movie."
All right.
And it was great. Anyway, his stomach was really starting to hurt. No, it really was. But there was no reason to panic. If he failed with his approach to the doctor, do we get points for all these typos? Is that a thing?
No, I don't want to make it a thing.
Alright, fine. if I look in my head I get points, even if it's not recorded. I just want everyone to know.
I'm sorry to cut you off there, but when we get to this recap, we need to speak about the release structure of this story. Excuse the ambulance driving past.
It's not for us. Maybe it's for Jerry.
Oh,
maybe that's Dr. Irie going down. Oh, good luck, Miss Irie.
But it's bad, and we need to address it.
We do.
That's going to be this recap.
But there was no real reason to panic. If he failed with his approach to the doctor, there was nothing What?
Don't worry, I was just making a joke.
Okay.
There was nothing to lose.
There was nothing to lose! If there was something to lose, it was this method of faking illness to get in touch with a doctor. If he could think of other methods from here on out, it wasn't much. But at the present, this was the easiest and most dramatic way you could think. Now that's some thinking I can get on board with, you could think of. The more he thought about it, the more it looked like this was his first and last gambit. There's some Keiichi thinking.
Why does everyone in this village just start to think crazy?
Because that's how Ryukishi writes.
I guess that's the thing, right? Is part of me wants to be like, it's just Ryukishi. On the other hand, I'm like, is this intentional?
Is this a plot thing?
How can everyone be this insane?
It's amazing. Look, I mean, real talk, this is how I approach all of my life's problems. I'm like, what's the most fun way of dealing with this? And that's just how I go. As long as I can't get, jailed for it.
I don't think that you're quite on Ryukishi's level of insane, though.
I'm getting there, though. That's the dream.
Eventually.
He heard the sound of a car approaching once again. The sound of the car doors being hurriedly opened and shut. I guess you can say open and shut. I won't hold it against him for that one. The sounds of several footsteps approaching. Oh, sweet mother of God.
A young man in a white medical coat.
I'm going to do this voice now.
As he acknowledged the boy.
A young man in a white medical coat. As he acknowledged the boy. It's all about the intonation. As he acknowledged the boy, a suspicious look showed itself on his face.
I thought you were going to have to prepare for this voice, but he's just going.
I'm just doing it. Who's he? He's not one of the kids from the village, is he? The captors didn't respond. From the looks of it, the young doctor had realized that this was an abnormal situation. One of the captors talked threateningly.
That's got nothing to do with you, Doc.
Very threatening. For a while, the doctor and the captors silently glared at one another. However, unable to stand the sight of the boy covered in thin sweat, the doctor, as the captors had hoped, didn't press any further. I'm concerned about this odd surgical scar. What kind of operation was it? We don't know. They should really bring him back to the clinic.
Doc, we really can do that.
The doctor said he wanted to bring the boy back to the clinic, but the captors simply silently shook their heads at the notion.
Silently?
And they said a lot of words as well, but they shook their heads mostly. It was a fleeting hope, but it was only natural that the captors would refuse. At that moment, his eyes met with the doctor's. Seeing that the boy's painful state was abnormal, the doctor suspected it was a serious illness. Are you all right? I'm a doctor. When was this surgical scar from?
Last year, during the winter, it hurts so much from an accident.
Do you enunciate properly,
I can't, it hurts so much, I can't even talk.
An accident, I see. This is a problem. He couldn't let the doctor figure out that he was faking it here. He had to somehow figure out some way to keep this going and tell the doctor that he was being confined and needed help. I'm going to touch the affected area, okay? If it hurts, tell me where. Ah!
I can't stand this. This is ridiculous.
This is great.
So bad.
Seeing that it was extremely painful, as indicated by the screams from the previous page, the doctor crossed his arms and began to ponder. He had to somehow get himself to a hospital. To Jerry Inugai, faking this illness was the performance of a lifetime.
Just
I
everyone's
can imagine
cagey.
him like dancing across the screen. And that was the chapter. That was the chapter, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my god.
That was amazing. That was an hour. Well, a little bit less.
It was absurd.
I love that. That was like the best damn chapter that I've ever read in my life.
That's like the worst chapter out of all of this and Numeneka.
It's so weird. I wonder if it's because he didn't have a good idea for what kind of character he wanted to give Jerry. So maybe it's like, because I mentioned that he writes the tips, after he writes the rest of the story. I wonder if this is another one of those chapters that he was like, maybe I'll just try like writing this at the end. Or maybe he just, I don't know. Because Jerry doesn't really have like an established character other than being a kid who's important.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's what's going on here. He was like, I should really have a scene with that kid. Maybe that could be fun. And then he just never cut it out. You know,
like that was a properly weak scene.
it was.
And it's such a shame because I think that going into, you know, the kid's perspective as he's being held hostage could be so interesting.
It could be really tense.
But like, there
that's
was
why
no tension.
Here's the thing.
There.
What you do is you take that scene and you rewrite it as like the scene in every slasher flick where the people realize they're in a slasher flick. You do that scene. You know what I'm talking about?
I guess I don't know if that would work quite in the way you're imagining it.
Maybe not. But like that's the sort of thing that you, because like this is a horror novel, right?
Yeah.
Although he's focusing less on that as of the end of Arc 3. But
I mean, just this whole chapter and this whole arc in general.
This has not been very horrorful. No, it's been mostly exposition and bits and pieces.
Yeah,
and Akasaka and his love troubles. But yeah, no, I don't know. Maybe we'll have a payoff from this scene, but that was very strange.
Yeah. Like I think we'll see as we go forwards. Like, but aside from Irie showing up and us getting that connection there, I really don't think that that scene would have been missed if it was just cut out entirely.
Well, it wasn't in the anime.
Exactly, right?
I mean, to be fair, I don't remember much of this arc, but I don't think that was in there at all.
Yeah. Anyway, next time.